Hello and welcome to Girls Trip with LaVerne and Steffanie. I'm Steffanie Rivers, and we want to welcome you to our show. I'm going to bring in our guests so that we can. Okay, we want to welcome you. Hello, everyone. I'm Steffanie Rivers, and this is my partner, LaVerne Adekunle, with us. We have a special guest with us today. How's everybody?
Great.
I'm fine.
We have with us Miss Sarah Collins Rudolph. And in case you don't know who she is a survivor of the 16th Street church bombing in Birmingham, Alabama in 1963. And we are so pleased to have her with us for a number of reasons. So welcome to our show, Miss Rudolph.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Ooh.
So I did get a chance to get your book a few days ago, and I've been reading it feverishly. So we know that a few people, before we get started, we want to let everybody know we are TriCasting on Facebook Live and on YouTube, my YouTube channel, as well as LinkedIn Live. So a lot of people will be joining us from different platforms. And I'm going to be typing as we're talking as well. And Ms. Rudolph, we will be asking you some questions about your book. But I also invite anyone who is listening live to send us your questions or your comments. Send those to area code 214-919-9360. So I'm going to type that in as well. If you have 9360 for your comments and questions. And so before we go, I'm in Dallas, Texas, and I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know if I need to turn down my volume. Are you guys still hearing me?
Yes, the feedback, yeah.
Okay, so I'm in Dallas, Texas. LaVerne, you're in Nashville, and Miss Rudolph, you're in Birmingham, correct?
That's right. All
righty. So let's just get started. I know I met Miss Rudolph a couple of years ago when I was on the production team for a book that's in the making. The book has been, of course, but it's being turned into a movie. And so we came to talk with Miss Rudolph about why stories like hers, why stories like this book were still relevant today. And that was 2 years ago, and even more now today than 2 years ago. It seems like these stories, and Miss Collins, Miss Rudolph, your story is more relevant today. But it took you 57 years to publish this book. Why did you feel like it was important for you to do it and do it now?
Very important because, so many kids have grown up and they don't really know about the story of the 16th Street Baptist Church. And when the story is being told, it should be told right. And I can give you the exact things what was going on in the ladies' lounge because I was there. So many people has talked about it, but it hadn't been the complete, story.
And I see the picture behind you. That is the picture of you in the hospital after the bombing, and that was on the same picture that was on the front of Life magazine. Is that the same picture?
Yes, that's the same picture they took of me when I was in the hospital. I was laying in the hospital bed when they took that picture.
So just in case others who are watching are not familiar. It's a part of our history. And I can't quite remember when where I learned about it, because I'm not as old as the event. So I had to learn about it as a part of history. But some people actually don't know about it. But essentially, three little girls were killed. I'm sorry, four little girls were killed in the basement of the 16th Street Baptist Church on the Sunday. It was in September in 1963. And that was your church, your home church. One of those little girls was your sister. So you guys were down there getting ready to do a Sunday event, a Sunday program.
Yes, that Sunday was going to be a youth day program. The young people was going to be in charge of all the duties that the adults usually handle, like singing in the choir, leading the devotion, and taking the offerings up. And we were excited that day. So we were just in the latest lounge, not exactly getting ready. We was in the latest lounge. Uh, it hadn't 11 o'clock hadn't came yet, so we were just down there. The girls came in to use the restroom, but my sister and I, we was already in the latest lounge when they came in.
So and it's one of the most sacred places that a lot of us really think of as sacred is the school. We feel safe at school, and we feel safe at church, and we feel safe at home. But these, in the 60s, during the Jim Crow era of America, during racial that's when the civil rights movement was happening. You would still think people thought of those three places as sacred. So when the blast happened, and your sister and four other little girls were killed, and you were maimed. Actually, you lost sight in one of your eyes.
Yes, I did.
So when that happened, because I've had the book for about a week, and so I'm going to be asking you some questions about what I read in the book. It was like, did you guys feel comfortable? Did your family feel comfortable? And you were only 10. You were 10?
No, I was 12.
12. You were 12. And so did your family feel like, okay, this has been an egregious matter and something is going to be done about it? People are going to be brought to justice. What was the feeling after realizing your sister and your family's relative, their child, had been killed? What was the feeling in Birmingham, in your family, about justice for you and your family?
Well, for one thing, when this happened, they knew who put the bomb there, but justice didn't come at that time, simply because of all the racial hate that was in Birmingham. Just Justice didn't prevail, and but we waited. And I think it was in 1977 when Robert Chambers, he went to the bar of justice for Denise McNair, and he was convicted in 1977. But we had to wait 29 more years before we got justice. 39 more years before Blanton and Cherry went to the bar of justice. So for all that long time, they was able to do what they want to do in life, but the girls, they didn't get a chance to live their life.
So at least one of now, do you know why they would convict Blanton of just one of the girls' murders and not all four of them?
It was Chair Robert Chambers in 1977. They convicted him because it was a think they told.
Her signal is breaking up. Her signal is breaking up. But in the meantime, while we try to get her back, I'm going to her husband. Mr. Rudolph is on. You didn't want to. He wants to. I'm going to invite her husband on because I met Mr. Rudolph when I met Miss Rudolph, and her signal is frozen. So while she tries to get that together, or do you want to go try to help her get that together, Mr. Rudolph? So I think that's what he's going to do. So essentially, my question is, LaVerne, at that point, you would need to get therapy, I would think. If you want justice and you want some type of way for you to get through this. And a part of therapy, a part of emotionally healing is to know that justice has been served. So do you think that how do you feel about, I know if it was me, I don't think I could get through it knowing that people are walking the street right now who did this and they're getting away with it.
I don't know, Steffanie, if it would be simultaneously or whether you will have a delayed reaction from the post-traumatic syndrome that develops sometimes years later. However, I think it's instinctive that human behavior will say, why did they do this to me? Or daddy, mommy, somebody get them. I think that's part of, and it could be that first impulsive feeling is why and get them versus, oh, now I'm scared of going in a church. I'm scared of loud noise. You know what I mean? All of the different things that come with post-traumatic syndrome. I don't know if it'll be simultaneously or separate, but you definitely want them to have their day, some way, somehow. You want them to give an account for what they did and why, especially when you lose loved ones behind it, and people you are close to at church. I mean, I think that's just natural.
In fact, I talked with Miss Rudolph when I did the interview with her a few years ago, and I asked her, did she ever go back to the church? And she said no, that she did not, and that I don't think her family did. And that's just, because we've learned so much about healing through therapy, that emotionally a part of healing is getting justice or accountability. Somebody, even if it's a minor issue with a family member, let's say, even if, something is going on in the family, for somebody to say, you know what, I wronged you and I apologize.
Yes.
If it's not a criminal offense, you at least want an apology.
Mm-hmm.
You want acknowledgement that your feelings matter.
Right.
And I just don't, I want to ask her, I see that, I'm trying to see who that is, who's in, I think that's Mr. Rudolph. Are you on the line? I see them, maybe they're working on it. So I'll let them let me know when they're back before we go to there. But that's, I think would be the one thing. And number two, the fact that Miss Rudolph just said they knew who did it tells me that it was along the lines of a government sanctioned act. The government per se didn't do it, but the government knew and condoned the actions for them to at least take 20 years to convict one person. You mean to tell me y'all can't bring these people to justice? So when I hear people today, LaVerne, say that, oh, the president, he might say inflammatory things, but that doesn't matter because that's just how he is. And he's just on Twitter doing this, that, and the third. it matters because that is the same thing that happened 50 years ago, except there wasn't Twitter. They just didn't say anything. They allowed things to happen untamed. And today, I think it's even worse because we have so many other ways that people can affect your life, that can get to you. And so it's important for people to realize people that government officials, government leaders have a responsibility to be accountable for what they say and how they act.
Yes.
Most
It's
definitely.
unbelievable to see all of the behaviors act out almost in real time. I mean, it's just unbelievable that so much is being done unchecked, and from the presidential White House status. I mean, it's like none of us could act like these people act on a regular job. We can't run a corporation with these kinds of behaviors. You would deal with lawsuits and most likely fired. I mean, not even a tenth of the behavior that's being done would be acceptable. And I don't understand why we don't have that same level of respect. Should be from the top as well as from lay society. It just should not be accepted. And we shouldn't accept that behavior, because what are our children watching? What are our grandchildren watching? I mean, it's like it's okay to act the way they're acting. And it's not okay. It's just unbelievable.
I agree. Now, I think she's trying to come back in. So,
okay, go right ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. So are you're back, Ms. Rudolph?
I can't understand it. You got a lot of static in it.
Okay, so I see you now, and I see your husband.
You got a lot of static. It's a lot of static.
It's a lot of static.
Okay, well, however you are able to hear us, but I do want to ask you, what did your family eventually get therapy, or did you get therapy to get through this? Because we know, there's a portion of what you went through is for to heal your physical wounds. But did you get therapy for your emotional and mental wounds?
No, I didn't. I didn't get any therapy. When I got out the hospital, I had to go back to school in about a week, so I didn't get any counseling.
Wow. So within a week of a blast that killed your sister and your friends and took one of your eyes and burned you, you went back to school.
Yeah, I had to go back in about a week. So during those time in the 60s, they didn't count people. They didn't. You had to go back to school the same way.
Right.
I didn't get any help.
Wow. So at what point did you realize that your healing was more than just your wounds? Did your family, did the city of Birmingham, did anybody say, did the church, did anybody say there's more to this? They're working, because we already know, based on your book, and while we have that, if you want to get a copy of the Fifth Little Girl, you can go to the Africa World Press, africaworldbooks.com, and get your copy. But we know you had physical healing to do. At what point did you or anyone realize you needed to get therapy? Have you ever gotten therapy?
No, I did. Only way I was really healed was when I went to church. I prayed, but then that I didn't get any kind of healing. Say, yeah.
Amazing.
So do what do you attribute your what do you attribute your ability to be able to move on with life? I mean, of course, you woke up and you breathed and you had to keep going. But some people, commit suicide. Some people go on a rampage and kill other people. And I realize you were just 12 at the time. But at some point, the anger, because while you were gone from the broadcast, LaVerne and I, and maybe it was just I would not have been able to just exist in the same air with the people who devastated my life, and nobody seemed to care. How did you get through all of that?
Well, for one thing, I knew I had to go to school, and when I went to school, I wanted to go, finish high school, and I wanted to be a nurse, but that never did, happen because of my injury. But after I was at home for a while and older, work, I said, position I know I had to out there and get a job. So
Now, okay, hold on. All right. In your book talks about how you felt forgotten because the attention stayed on the deaths of the victims, and rightly so. People, when we memorialize people and events, we think about the deaths, but along the way, they forgot that you were a living victim, that you needed attention. Tell us about that, about your feelings, and what helped you to get through that. Or do you still feel aggrieved? How does your family and the other people who were hurt on that day at the church, how do you work through it?
well, for one thing, at that age, I knew that the girls they needed the attention because they lost their life. But I mean, in the background, and I still live. I always just thank God that that I was alive. But I just look at it this way: something like that shouldn't have never happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're in church, you go to praise God and learn about the Bible, about love, and then there's some people outside want to blow church. You know, that was one thing that really hurt me, especially when those girls was killed like that. It should never have happened. But I thought about the fact that I looked over, but it hurt it. But I just had to let it go. I had to just go on and do what I had to do. I had to keep on living.
So was there so what made you decide to stay in Birmingham? Why? I mean, okay, we agree you had to keep living. Was there something that kept you there, or you just wanted to stay in Birmingham?
Oh no, I wanted to move out of like my friends. Most of them had left because of the fact that they had relatives out of town. But I didn't have a relative to move in, go out of town. And at that time, we didn't have the money, just get up and leave. So since it was where I was raised, and I just know I just had to stay there in Birmingham.
So, do a lot of people recognize you now through when you're going in and throughout your travels in the city, or do you think that the new generation has pretty much moved on from that fateful day and the lessons that could be learned from it?
Well, here in the city of Birmingham, like I said, since they weren't born at that time, and many of the young people don't really know me here. And
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't always person that they hurt. You know, they don't. I goes in the street now. If people don't know that I was in the bomber unless we tell them, and very few know that we run to.
So I know that you are doing speaking engagements, and you're especially doing speaking engagements about your book. So if someone wants to contact you to talk to you and get a history lesson and to include you in their program, whether it be about publishers, whether it be about Black history, whether it be about another subject of healing, how might they contact you?
Well, a lot of people, they know my husband. He's the business coach, and they usually call him and uh, get his email or whatever.
Okay, so your husband is kind of like your business manager.
Yeah,
Hmm.
go to the website. Yeah.
Sarah has her own website, sarahcollinsrudolph.com.
Okay, sarahcollinsrudolph.com. So
Okay.
there's
No, see,
okay. So here's what I wanted to ask you too. You know that a lot of people said that the reason. Okay, now I can barely see you. I see the top of your head. Bring the phone down.
There
Yeah,
you go.
you're right there. That's good. So a lot of people, said that because of when you try to talk to people about things, even today with just mass marketing, you have to give people visuals so they can feel or have an emotional attachment to what's going on. So a lot of people said that the civil rights movement wasn't really understood or wasn't felt around the country until people saw police officers with dogs holding water hoses at full blast on people protesting or demonstrating in the streets, and how the brutality of that made people realize what the civil rights movement was how the visual of it. So a lot of people after the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing, and the pictures of the pictures of the hole in the side of the church, the coffins of the deceased. A lot of people said though those visuals were the catalyst for a lot of civil rights legislation that happened throughout 1963 and 64. So do you feel like you are a martyr, that your life and your the thing that happened to you has led to some good overall for America?
Oh yes. Not good has happened because about those girls' death. The civil rights bill was passed. So, although I was injured, it was a part of my injury too. But like I said, by them being killed, they should get all the recognition because their life was taken from.
And you know what? Also, one of the things that it's like history repeats itself. I know you have seen the George Floyd modern day lynching video of the police officer in Minneapolis holding for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. He held his knee on the neck of George Floyd, and he died basically on video. And that created, mass worldwide protests. After people saw the pictures of of the blast and the deaths and everything, there were worldwide protests as well. Talk to me about how if we don't address certain wrongs, that they are repeated. Do you feel that way at all?
Yes, I do. I feel that way because when these George Floyd and Trayvon and the other guy, Eric Garner, when they was killed, they looked like the police just got away with it because they didn't spend any time in jail for what they did. So, and it just put me in the mind of what happened here in Birmingham, like Virgil Ware and Johnny Robinson. They was also killed, police, and they got off. They got off. They didn't spend any time in jail. So it's time for them to be charged with the murder that they have done. But it seemed as though that coincide with what really happened. The murder there coincide happened to uh, Johnny Robinson, Virgil Well. They got to spend some time too because they was guilty of murder.
Now I know that when we were preparing for you to come on, we promised, well, because of the reason that after I met you a couple of years ago, I saw that the governor of Alabama, she went as far as to send you a personal apology for what the state had put you through and your family and the other people who had been wronged. Because George Floyd's murder is an example for everybody to say that the South does not have a hold on racism. Racism can happen anywhere in America. A lot of people think only in the South can something like what happened to George Floyd happen until it happened in some other place. So that up until that time, a lot of people would think that Birmingham had the foothold on racism and things that could happen like that. And it just goes to show you that we have to be vigilant around the country and around the world to make sure that everybody is treated fairly and that police are held accountable, and that we, the government, whether it be federal government or state government, they act with accountability and not just think that just because they are police or they have a badge that they don't have any, that they can just do to people and treat people anyway, especially if they are not armed. But I wanted to bring this up because if you look at the Boston Marathon, that was what was that? 2013. That was an act of domestic terrorism.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you look at the 9/11, that was an act of domestic terrorism, something that happened on our soil. And when you look at the Oklahoma City bombing, that was an act of domestic terrorism. Each of those victims and survivors have received some sort of restitution for their wounds and for their suffering. And I know you are not at liberty to talk about what's going on with you and your family, but I just wanted to say officially that the government doesn't have a problem paying restitution to certain people, and they need to be accountable in every way with everybody and quit picking and choosing who they give restitution to. And so I see that your husband is on down at, and we're going to add him and see. I know he said that you couldn't speak on that, and maybe I just want to talk to him about how you guys met and why he feels like it's important to help you keep this alive, because one, it's a history lesson that people need to learn, especially because if you don't correct the wrongs of history, you repeat the wrongs of history. So I'm going to add Mr. Rudolph.
And you know what? Let me say this, Steffanie. It is so many stories that have not been told.
Sound is not right.
Okay, so
you can't hear it, Sarah.
Sound is not coming in. Good.
Okay. Oh, LaVerne, go ahead and keep talking.
I was just saying, there's so many stories that have not been told, either out of fear or lack of exposure. But I think it's vital that Miss Collins, Miss Rudolph, continue to have the courage to share her story.
Most definitely. Okay, so now she's coming in here on this one. And so I'm going to cut out that one. All right.
Are you you got to remember, this is the state of Alabama. See, if you never lived in the South, you wouldn't understand. See, what happened to Sarah, it shouldn't be no issue about compensation. It shouldn't be no issue.
Right.
See, don't get me to start, because you know I go off, you know. Because see, they did Sarah wrong. See, number one, what they trying to say, this happened to her in 63. What that got to do with it? My wife was seriously hurt. Listen, I'm a Vietnam veteran. If that would have happened to her while she was in Vietnam, she'd be at 100%, no questions asked. But see, with Sarah, they say, well, this happened in 63. Ain't nothing we could do. That's a lie. You can make something happen. You can make something happen. But they want to kind of sweep this up on the rug and forget about it and issue an apology. The apology is 57 years too late. This should have happened in 1963.
So you guys have gotten an attorney who's trying to help you to negotiate.
Yes, ma'am. Sarah has some good attorneys working. That's how they got their apology going. But that's not enough. That's not enough. Apology is not enough.
So
she needs restitution with interest added on to it. Like you say, they did it for the Boston Marathon. They did it for the New York 9/11.
That's so right.
Why can't they do it for Sarah? What's the difference?
I agree. So, Miss Sarah, can you talk to us about the therapy and the things that your family had to go through? Because I know you told us you went back to, let me go. Okay, you said you went back to school a week later with burns, and like how, what kind of a hospital bill might that have been just to be able to walk, let alone
I didn't have to worry about the hospital bill. I don't know who paid them, but I don't think my family had to pay them, but I was still really in pain, simply because when I got out of school, they told me when I got out the hospital, they told me I had to have my eye removed, because of the fact that if they didn't remove my right eye, I would go blind in my left eye. So I had to have that done all while I was going in and out of school. So it was just something that I was young, but it was something that I had to go through.
So there are so many people, with the pandemic going through so many things. Talk to us about what, I could see one of the ways that you are able to keep going is because you have a strong support system like your husband there for you. So is that the key? Somebody who is like having a strong support system? How do you personally, before you met Mr. Rudolph, what is it that helped you to make it through?
Well, I started going to church, and God began to move in my life, and I got saved, and God began to heal, take away the fear, and the nervous condition that I had. It was because of God, really, because I couldn't have made it if it had not been for Him doing the healing that He did do. that was done to me.
Amen. So now when you are out and about, what do you do a lot of speaking, public speaking about your situation? If somebody wants to have you to, do you do outside traveling, or you basically just stay in and around Birmingham?
Well, I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of traveling around the United States before this virus came out, but most of the time now I just talk on Zoom, But I've been a lot of places, schools and churches and banquets and stuff. They always want to hear about that story because, like I say, so many people wasn't around in '63, and they didn't really know what that had even happened.
So then, as time goes on, and we have a new administration, do you think that some people, and we mentioned this while you were in transition between cameras, some people think that that the leadership, is not like the voice of of political leaders is not that important, that people are going to act however they're going to act. But we see that with our current president and the way he uses social media to pit Americans against each other. Do you think we are on our way to better times, or you think it's going to get worse? How do you feel about the state of race relations in America today?
Well, race relationship, it had kind of calmed down. People wasn't coming out like they used to do, like they were doing in the '60s. But I just feel like when President Trump got in office, all of those that was quiet, they began to show their heads again. The Nazis, the Klans, and the skinheads, and all those racist groups, because of the fact that I think he promotes racism. Now that's the way I feel about it. So, but it's time for those that hate blacks, hate any other race. It's time for us to get together instead of hate one another, because God made us all, and when He made us, He made us in His image. So there's no race better than no one else. We just got to stop all the hating and just try to love one another.
Amen.
Amen. So before we go, Mr. Rudolph, do you want to add anything to?
Well, you asked how we met. Me and Sarah finished high school together. We finished high school in 1969, and I went to Vietnam. I went to Vietnam in '69. Went to Vietnam in '70. Then after I got back to the United States, we crossed paths, and then one year, 2000, we crossed paths, and one thing led to another, and so that was the best move I made when I married Sarah.
Oh,
that was the best move.
That's so cool.
I got a good wife, and I have to make sure because people will take advantage of you, and I'm just gonna share this with you, like Spike Lee did a little thing, and I don't know if y'all ever seen The Four Little Girls. Did y'all ever see that, the documentary?
Yes, I saw it on Netflix or HBO Max or something. I did see it.
Well, Sarah, she was not in it, and but she asked him, well, if I be in this, will I be compensated? He told her, well, I can't give you anything. So Sarah said, well, I ain't got nothing to say. So she did the right thing, because that documentary made a lot of money. Plus, he got nominated for an Academy Award, but he didn't win the Academy, but he got nominated. But he felt as though he didn't have to give her anything for her time. So Sarah did the right thing. She didn't give an interview for him. So a lot of people have
it's hard. It's so disappointing when you know the film is going to make money, they're going to be paid, and then they don't want to share it among the people that strengthened or made the film successful.
That's right. That's just like Selma, that lady. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna be through with it. Now, if you I don't know if y'all saw Selma.
I did.
Yeah, the movie. Yes.
Yeah, able to do what? Now, how can you have a movie with those 4 girls and not involve Sarah as the survivor? Come on now.
Right. Exactly.
How you gonna make a movie about those 4 girls and not have Sarah involved? Sarah wasn't involved. They didn't reach out to Sarah. So, a lot of people have did it their way. That's reading the book, and I'm so glad the book finally came out, Miss Steffanie, that the truth can be, you can read the truth.
That's right. So if you guys want to get a copy of the book, you can, it's the Fifth Little Girl, and you can go to AfricaWorldBooks.com, AfricaWorldBooks.com, or you can even go to
Africa World Press.
Africa World Press.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Africa World Press.
See.
And you can even go to your website and get it as well, or they could at least
it's supposed to be on Amazon, Miss Steffanie.
Okay, so I will go. You can go to the actual book publisher, Africa World Press, or you can go to Amazon as well. And and then of course Miss Rudolph is also doing speaking engagements, and of course
Zoom.
Right, Zoom speaking engagements. So we will make sure. And in fact, I know LaVerne, you do a lot of events. So we'll see if we can't include her in some of our future events. So that's it. And we want to thank you guys we want to thank Mr. and Ms. Rudolph for taking out the time, as well as you for coming to view us. And then we're going to post this in case anyone missed it. We will repost it on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. And so hopefully you'll get some book orders and speaking inquiries as well. So you've been watching Girls Tripped with LaVerne and Steffanie, and we want to thank you again. So everybody, you have a blessed day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss LaVerne, Miss Steffanie.
Bye-bye. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.